I'm going to ask you 5 simple questions, and your answers will tell us whether the Halo 4 collar is right for you and your dog. Think of it like one of those flowcharts that you used to see in magazines, except this one might actually save you from some buyer's remorse. The 5 questions are: what's your property situation? What kind of dog do you have? How's your budget looking? Do you travel with your dog? And how tech savvy are you really? Don't worry, there are no wrong answers to any of these questions unless your answer is, well, actually, I have a cat, which is not really applicable. It's not what we do here. It's totally fine. You're welcome to watch, but I don't know, it's not really what we're here for. Oh, and there's a bonus 6th question, which is, do you like discounts? Because if you do, I put some discount codes in the description below should you decide to pick up any of these collars that we're going to talk about. Let's start with the big one. Where are you planning on using this thing? Option A, you have a smaller yard. Now, for the purposes of testing, I created a smaller boundary, about 20 by 30 feet, just to see how it would work. Now, Poppy did great with adhering to the warnings. The problem was the GPS was a little finicky. She would receive these warnings when she was still 3 to 5 feet within safe bounds. But when we're talking about something that's only 20 feet wide to begin with, that really puts a dent in the amount of space she's able to roam, which kind of defeats the whole purpose when the goal here is that she can move freely. Option B, I have some acreage or a larger property. Now we're talking. This is where the Halo Collar 4 shines. I took her to my friend's 5-acre property to give this a good test, and it was night and day. The collar had room to work properly, the GPS was accurate, and Poppy could actually wander off without having to worry about phantom warnings when she was still within safe bounds. Option C, I rent or I can't install permanent fencing. So let's say, obviously, if you're renting, they don't want you putting up a fence that's permanent, and some places, there are HOAs and very specific rules about what kind of physical boundaries and enclosures you can make. This is perfect for that. It doesn't require any sort of manual installation. If you're renting and have to move, you take it with you, so you're not investing in a space. And if you've got like weird property lines that make physical fencing kind of unreliable, then this works via GPS. You can draw all the lines on your phone and work around whatever angles you have to work around. It doesn't have to be a straight line if you don't want it to be. If you went with option B or option C, keep watching because we're going to talk about why a Halo collar might be for you. Question 2, what kind of dog do you have? This part gets skipped when people talk about all of these options that are available, and it's frankly one of the more important questions. What kind of dog are we dealing with? Size and personality matter a lot more than most people are willing to admit, especially in the reviews that you see. Let's just start with the obvious. If your dog is under 30 pounds, the minimum weight that they say it works down to is 15. Frankly, maybe technically that works, but again, in that 15 to 30 pound range, it just doesn't seem to quite fit right. It reads a bit bulky, cumbersome, and frankly uncomfortable for the dog. Now, if your dog is in the medium to large range, 30 pounds on up, this is clearly what the engineers had in mind when they developed this collar. Take Poppy here, for example. She's between, 50 and 60 pounds. And the collar fits on her pretty much exactly as it should. It's snug, but not tight, stays in place, and it's comfortable on her neck. She barely notices that it's on when she's wearing it. So for most dogs in that size range, I would say the Halo 4 is a really solid choice. As for personality, if your dog happens to be on the more, let's say, spirited side, very high energy, maybe a little stubborn, maybe a little clever, maybe a little too clever for their own good, it may still work, but it's going to require a lot of patience from you. This collar is not a magic fix. None of these collars are. You're going to have to take some serious time to teach your dog how to react to these signals. Poppy is actually not one of these dogs. She's fairly well behaved and she picks up on training things rather quickly. So it only took about 3 weeks of consistent training for her to understand where the boundaries are, and since then she really hasn't tested them. So if you think your dog's temperament is anything like hers, then this may be a good solution for you. Unfortunately, I can't really speak to how things go with dogs who aren't like my dog. I haven't trained multiple dogs with these kinds of collars. However, I can guess that it can work provided you have the time and patience to put in the effort. So if your dog is medium to large and somewhat trainable, this may be a good solution for you. Now let's get a little stressed out when we talk about money, because this system is not cheap and pretending otherwise really doesn't help anybody. If budget is your main concern, depending on your space and other restrictions, you may want to try traditional fence solutions, or there are other wireless dog collars that may work for you and fit better within your budget. We have other videos on this channel where we go through some of those budget options. Feel free to take a look. Now, option B, you're all right with the upfront costs, but subscriptions can be scary. Well, I totally get it. Adding a subscription into your life can be very stressful, especially when it comes time to deduct from that every single month. Now, unfortunately, without the subscription, the Halo 4 becomes a $550 regular dog collar. It just doesn't work without an active subscription. If you compare it to some of the other options at your disposal, like if you have a large property and you want to put in a physical fence, $1,600-ish doesn't end up looking that bad when you compare it to some of those other things. Now, option 3, money is no object. Number 1, good for you. Yes, you did something right, or, your mom or dad or grandpa or grandma did something right and just passed it down to you. But you know what? The Halo collar becomes so much quicker to recommend because why not? Money is no object. Provided your dog and your property situation fit the criteria we talked about earlier, go nuts. Your next step. If you picked option A, the Halo collar probably isn't for you. Now, if you picked option B, you should really think and consider whether or not the ongoing cost is going to outweigh the benefit that you get. And if you picked option C, well, lucky you. You probably skipped this section of the video anyway, just purely based on the title. Now let's talk about whether you travel with your dog, because this is one of the biggest points where the Halo collar can shine. Now, option A, your dog rarely leaves your property. If your dog is a homebody and she doesn't go with you when you travel or go on vacation, you're likely spending for features that you ultimately don't need. The ability to create and save multiple boundaries to use with the collar is kind of one of the key features that you get from this system. And that's not to say that it's not right for you. However, consider whether you're overspending on things that you ultimately won't need, and consider potentially other options. Now, option B, you often go camping or visit family or travel with your dog. This is more Halo collar territory, because let me tell you, I have tested this thing at multiple properties, my parents' house, and I just gotta say, the ability to build a boundary almost instantly on your phone wherever you happen to be is an absolute game changer. You don't have to worry about keeping your dog on a leash the whole time or dealing with an unfamiliar yard, or whether or not the fence at the rental property that you're at doesn't have a bunch of holes in it. You set up a boundary on your phone, you let your dog out, they're good to go. And you can have some peace of mind when you're supposed to be relaxing anyway. Now, last question, and be honest, how comfortable are you with technology? Because being real, the Halo collar relies heavily on its app. And if you find yourself often frustrated while trying to use your phone, or get, easily frustrated by gadgets, this might not be the right fit for you. You'll need to charge it daily, update firmware occasionally, and even troubleshoot from time to time. Now, if you think that you're rather comfortable dealing with apps and Wi-Fi and basic phone settings, you're going to do just fine. The app is intuitive and user-friendly, and you can manage your fences and check your dog's location and activity and adjust everything as needed very, very easily. If you happen to be tech savvy, you're going to have a field day. You can dig into stats, there's GPS history, there's a bunch of different ways you can customize this experience for yourself. All right, time for the moment of truth. If you have a dog who's trainable, over 30 pounds, and you have a large property, and you're comfortable with tech, the Halo Collar 4 is a pretty great fit for you, especially if you travel often and you can't rely on physical fencing. Now, if your dog is on the smaller side and you have a smaller yard, maybe you don't like subscription fees, this is not the option for you. Now, as for my experience, after a few months of doing this with Poppy, I can say that the system mostly works. She knows her boundaries, and I can think, with a little bit more clarity, knowing that when she's outside, she is staying within the space that I have set out for her, and the portability has come in handy multiple times. Now, if you have any questions about it, drop them in the comments. We love to read your comments and we respond when we can. Now, that is all we have for today. I will see you likely in another video much like this, where I'm reviewing some high-priced piece of dog tech that you want to impulse buy. Who knows? But either way, I'll see you in the next one.